Warning, this episode contains references to extreme violence. Please use discretion when listening. Nearing the end of my first week in El Salvador, I was feeling completely exhausted. I'd traveled all over, from San Miguel to the capital and back, interviewing people who had lived through the war and listening to the saddest stories. I had tried to mentally prepare myself, but being here in the place where it all happened, it was a lot harder than I'd anticipated. So every night, after a long day of interviews, I really looked forward to going back to my hotel room, eating a quick dinner, and going straight to bed. I got my parents a room at the same hotel so that we could spend a little time together at the end of each day. But on this particular evening, my dad interrupted dinner to casually mention something. "By the way," he said, "I invited my cousins over to the hotel so you can interview them. They'll be here soon." I was totally caught off guard. I didn't know anything about these cousins. What would I ask them? Why would my dad just spring this on me? To be honest, I was pretty annoyed. I didn't know that these cousins were about to tell me about the incident that sparked my family's journey north to the U.S. The moment that brought the war to my family. I'm Jasmine Romero, and this is Sacred Scandal, Nation of Saints. Episode 5, A Death in the Family. We'll be right back.
Okay, thank you. A ver, bueno, entonces, ¿se puede introducir, por favor?
Margarita Sarabia.
¿Y usted quién es en relación a mi familia o a mi papá?
Prima.
We settled into my hotel room. Me, my parents, and my dad's 2 cousins, Zoila and Margarita. Zoila is the shorter of the 2, with a mullet of dark curly hair. She didn't really want to talk much, but Margarita slowly warmed up.
Entonces, ¿jugaban de niños?
Sí, visitábamos. Con todo primo.
Jugábamos con las especies, con el achote.
Margarita is in her mid-60s, with straight black hair and hooded eyes that gave her the nickname La China growing up. For most of the interview, she held a plastic water bottle in her hands, twisting it every time I asked her a question. Apparently, I wasn't the only one being ambushed by this interview. I started out slowly, asking questions about what Margarita's childhood was like.
¿Qué tipo de juegos jugaban de niños?
¿Qué jugábamos? Saltábamos cuerdas.
Ladrón librado.
La peregrina.
Peregrina.
Y el ladrón librado.
Vos y me corro. ¿O cómo?
El escondelero.
El escondelero.
My dad and his cousins grew up playing together in San Miguel. Cousin Zoila mentions a game called Yanked Onion.
Arranca la cebolla.
¿Qué es eso?
Arranca cebolla.
A kid would wrap their arms and legs around a tree.
Alguien se agarraba de un palo, el primero, y ahí íbamos todos, y el de atrás empezaba a jalar.
And all the other kids would make a line and grab each other by the waist, trying to pull the kid off.
Empezaba a jalar y a ver a cuántos arrancaba.
¿Y la joya?
La joya, arranca
joyita.
cebolla.
These sound like the kind of stupid, fun games that you can only play with a group of neighborhood kids that really know each other. Everybody starts chiming in with the names of games that I've never heard of. Little Broken Pot, Mud Tortillas, Walking Pilgrim.
Una infancia bien tranquila,
Bien
sin
bonita.
tanto.
Bien sana.
Pobremente, sí, sí.
Sí, porque andábamos descalzos, sin zapatos.
They all seem to have fond memories of this time, despite the fact that they were playing all these games barefoot. It's a thing that I've heard my dad talk about from time to time, how poor his family was growing up, the things that they had to do to survive. But I've never actually heard these kinds of stories, the details. In the same light, joking tone that he uses to talk about these games, he talks about hunting for food.
Mandábamos un perro adelante y ese olfateaba y cuando agarraba uno, él ladraba muchas veces. Entonces ya corríamos donde nosotros oíamos el perro y hacía a veces un guajalo o un zorrillo.
My dad and his brothers would go out looking for skunks or possums, and if they found one, they'd whack the animal with a stick and bring it home to cook.
Y ahí teníamos la comida ya.
My dad's childhood seems to be filled with these kinds of little anecdotes. He once told me that he did his first communion 3 times, just to get the bread and milk that the priest would give you at the end. It makes me so sad for him, for the child that he never got to be. For cousin Margarita, there were other events that shifted her childhood. Something that happened when she was a teenager, in the late 70s.
Porque recuerdo que, no sé si estabas ahí, el día que en el ININ hicieron una matazón.
Mataron a 3 compañeros.
El INIM is the nickname for the local high school in San Miguel. This was the late 70s, around the time that labor movements had really started to take center stage. The same movements that had taken root in the capital were finally reaching San Miguel. And local students at El INIM had organized a protest to advocate for higher wages. And just like in so many other protests, the local police showed up and fired at the students.
¿Compañeros de la escuela?
Ajá.
Y chavalos, ¿verdad?
Sí. De secundaria ahí. Ajá. Curiosidad.
Among the students killed were 3 of cousin Margarita's classmates. She remembers seeing their bodies get dropped off at the morgue.
Hay muertos, ahí vamos. Y ya cuando veo, ay, Dios mío. Mira, este lo conozco, este era mi compañero. Y uno piensa, wow, ¿y esto?
It was the same story playing out across the country. The more the government squashed the protests, the more the people saw the need to fight back, and the more that the government cracked down. But this was the first time that the war that had been brewing in the capital was rearing its head as far south as San Miguel. In the years to come, the cycle would repeat. Of course, the government's reasons for the killings were always the same: rooting out those who were cooperating with the leftists. Even for people like my parents, the assumption always was, if someone was killed, they must have been part of the FMLN. Not a justification, but at least a way to put some reasoning behind every death. It's what my dad says to Margarita about someone named Maria.
¿Tampoco estaba organizada?
No, en nada.
Nadie, ninguno.
No.
Yo tenía esa ligera idea de que estaban a lo mejor empezando a recibir doctrina.
No, nadie.
My dad had always assumed that Maria was part of some leftist organization. But Margarita insists, no, Maria wasn't involved in any of that. Maria, I learn, is my dad's aunt, cousin Margarita's mother.
Y mi mamá tal vez porque era el partido y el trabajo que ella tenía en la fábrica, ¿te acuerdas? En la Fabril, que ella era la jefa. Y de ahí entonces empezaron a quitar, me imagino, tal vez los problemas.
Pero por lo que le llegó la muerte, sabe Dios hasta ahorita. ¿Por qué?
To this day, no one knows exactly why Tia Maria was murdered. They all have theories. And it kind of seems like my dad and his cousins are trying to work it out in front of me in real time. It's like this is the first time that they've ever talked about it. It's definitely the first time that I hear about it. Cousin Zoila chimes in with her own theory.
Tía como que ya Pertenecía al sindicato de la Fabril, ¿verdad?
El sindicato, the union. She says Tia Maria was part of the workers' union at the factory, and maybe that was the reason. Which my dad agrees with.
Y entonces también el
Eso,
trabajo.
por ahí pudo haber andado la jugada. Como en ese entonces, todos los sindicalistas los andaban sacando y esos eran los que en la noche los
llegaban a sacar.
los llegaban a tirar también en un solo hoyo.
They were rounding them up, he says, dumping them into common graves. My dad remembers that around this time was when people started disappearing in San Miguel, especially those aligned with the unions. Police would come to your house and pick you up for questioning.
Los agarraban en el día y los iban a buscar a la policía. No, ¿cómo se llama, fulano?
But when your family went to go look for you at the police station, the cops would say, I don't know who you're talking about. Or maybe go check at that other station.
No hay nadie aquí. No está aquí. Vaya allá a la otra. No, tampoco, vaya allá a la otra.
Then a couple days later, a body would pop up on the street. Or it would never appear at all. It would be disappeared.
Entonces, se desaparecía.
For my dad and his family, this felt like just a crazy thing that was happening in their town. But this was happening all over the country. This was the work of los escuadrones de la muerte, the death squads that had started in the capital with Dawison and his cohort. Finally, I ask cousin Margarita, what exactly happened to your mother?
¿Qué fue lo que sucedió?
It was late afternoon. Margarita was out on the patio, chatting with the neighbors, while her mom was inside making dinner for the family, when trucks pulled up to the house.
Ellos empiezan a poner las máscaras.
The men in the trucks put on ski masks to cover their faces and grabbed rifles. One of them grabbed Margarita and put the rifle up to her face. They wanted to know where her mother was.
Agarran los fusiles y me pusieron una metralleta en la boca del estómago.
Tia Maria stepped out of the house and told them, if you're looking for me, well, here I am. Let go of my daughter.
Ya dice, ¿a quién buscan? Y a mi mamá sale, dicen a mi hija.
Inside, Margarita's two younger brothers were hiding in the kitchen.
Si a mí me buscan, es conmigo. Y ya la sacaron de adentro, ya nos dejaron a todos nosotros adentro de la casa y solo a mi mamá la sacaron afuera.
The men then grabbed Tia Maria, forcing her out onto the patio. One of them kept Margarita at gunpoint, warning her to be still. Inside, her younger brothers crawled through a hole in the side of the house and watched as their mother struggled against the masked men.
Y con la misma ya se oyó el disparo afuera. Y ya silbaron y con la misma salen corriendo todos. Y ya salimos nosotros afuera y ya hallamos muerta a mi mamá en el patio.
They shot Tia Maria there, on the patio, in front of her children. Margarita was only 17 years old when she watched her mother die.
El 7 de agosto fue que ella murió.
That night, my dad heard the news that his aunt had been killed. First thing in the morning, he and my mom walked over to Tia Maria's house, expecting to give their condolences to the family. They found the whole family, Margarita and her younger brothers, all huddled around Tia Maria's body. They had sat there all night, waiting for the coroner to come and take her away.
Y pues ahí pasó toda la noche.
Y nunca supieron.
Nunca supimos quién fue ni por qué fue. Y así quedó.
My dad says that the police came and took note of where she was shot, collected evidence.
Cuántos disparos, a dónde los tenía, dónde quedó, como si eso le importara a alguien.
As if that mattered to anyone, he says. As if anyone would do anything about it. To this day, my family doesn't know exactly who did it or why. It was August of 1980. 5 months after Oscar Romero's murder in the Capitol. For my parents, it was the first time that the approaching war had really affected their lives. The first person in the family to die. And she wouldn't be the last. That's after the break. After talking with my dad and his cousins, I realized that it was time for me to finally sit down with my parents and get their full story. If I'm honest, I think I'd been avoiding it, dreading what I might hear.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. Say something.
Hola, mi amor, te quiero mucho.
That was very cute, Mom.
That's my mom, Ana Beatriz Reyes.
Introduce yourself in English, please.
Es que para mí es bastante dificultoso porque sé que tengo mucho acento.
Your accent is not bad, Mom.
No,
You sound great.
no creo.
Speak English, please.
Okay, my name is Ana Beatriz Reyes, and I'm the mom of Jasmine Romero, who is my fourth daughter.
My mom's pretty shy. She's the kind of person who covers her mouth when she smiles. So it was like pulling teeth to get her to talk to me on mic. But with some coaxing, she finally came around. My parents have been together since they were teenagers. Being together is the only life they've ever known. And El Salvador was the only place they'd ever been. After Tia Maria was killed, Cousin Margarita left for the U.S. It was becoming more and more common for people to immigrate north, especially with the escalating violence. That year, 1980, began a flood of immigration that hasn't stopped to this day. When Cousin Margarita left, around 95,000 Salvadoran immigrants had already immigrated to the U.S., mostly illegally. And even if they had wanted to go legally, that wasn't really an option. Only 2% of all asylum claims from El Salvador to the U.S. were approved, because allowing those claims would have confirmed what the U.S. continued to deny, that their funding was making the situation in El Salvador worse. So illegal immigration was kind of the only option, but it was really expensive. It required buying a flight into Mexico and then paying a coyote to get you across the border. At the time, my mom was 19 years old with 2 young daughters. She and my dad were living with my great-grandparents, 7 people sharing a one-room shack. The idea of getting enough money together to get to the U.S. felt like climbing Mount Everest. But they took Tia Maria's death as a warning and started saving every penny they could. After a year, they'd saved enough for one person to go.
Yo tenía 8 meses de embarazo de mi tercera hija, que era Wendy. Y de repente él me platicó que tenía esa oportunidad de poder viajar con un amigo.
It was 1981, and my mom was now pregnant with her 3rd daughter, my sister Wendy. They decided that the easiest path would be for my dad to go solo. My dad had a friend who was heading north to the U.S. and had invited him along. The idea was that my dad would send money back to help support my mom and the girls, and eventually save up enough to send for them. For my mom, it was an impossible decision. Break up the family and possibly never see my dad again, or keep living meal to meal.
La inseguridad más que nada de saber que sí lo iba a volver a ver.
She asked herself, would she ever see him again?
Porque no iba a ser yo el primer caso que sucediera de que era una mujer que había quedado aquí con los hijos y el marido se fue a buscar una mejor vida para ellos. Pero él ya no regresó y hizo una nueva vida allá.
It was pretty common for men to abandon their families after they got to the U.S. My mom worried if she would ever even hear from him again.
Y eso era lo que me sentía yo. ¿Será eso lo que me va a tocar? ¿Será que él en realidad sí me va a responder? ¿Va a ayudarme cuando él esté allá? ¿O se va a olvidar de mí? ¿Qué tan fuerte sea el amor?
She wondered, how strong is the love between us? Will he forget about us? But she couldn't pass up this chance of creating a better future for the girls.
No pude decirle, no te vayas, ni porque sabía que pues si él lograba pasar era una oportunidad tal vez de tener un poquito de una mejor situación económica para nosotros.
They made preparations for him to go. By the end of summer, my third sister, Wendy, was born.
Yo tenía 2 semanas de haber tenido a Wendy cuando él se fue en agosto.
My dad left 2 weeks after Wendy was born. Sitting there on the thatched petate that they had as a bed, my mom considered her options. She still had her 3 girls, and now, with my dad gone, even less income than before. She had to figure out how to get by. How could she work? Who would take care of the girls? She found a local flower shop and made a deal with the owner. I'll work for you from sunup to sundown, but I need to bring my kids along. The owner agreed. So every morning, she'd get up,
Como a las 6 de la mañana, me levantarme,
get things ready for the girls,
arreglar lechita, pachitas y...
dress them, comb them, strap her newborn to her back.
¿Y se llevaba las niñas?
Sí.
¿Las 3?
Sí. Ahí las tenía sentaditas a un ladito de donde yo estaba trabajando haciendo las flores. Por cierto que Candy me mojaba el papel.
Her job at the flower shop was making paper flowers. She'd spend her days making paper bouquets for the upcoming holiday, El Día de Finados, All Souls Day. It's the Salvadoran version of the Day of the Dead. For El Día de Finados, it was custom to place paper flowers or crowns on the graves of loved ones who had passed. She still remembers exactly how to do it, all these years later.
Los primeros pétalos se enrollaban así, y entre más hacía, más hacía, más hacía, más hacía.
Within a few weeks, letters started showing up from my dad, saying how much he missed her.
A los días empezaron a llegar las cartas y yo me sentía bastante obvio de que él me extrañaba y de que yo también lo estaba extrañando.
How he wanted them to be together in the U.S.
Cuánto deseaba que yo estuviera allá, cuánto me extrañaba a las niñas, que todo estaba bien bonito acá.
It was reassuring to know that their love could survive beyond borders. But the timeline for their reunion was not clear. He said he'd have to work for at least a year to save up enough. My mom would write her letters back and put on lipstick to seal them with a kiss.
Recuerdo que yo le mandaba cartas y para poderle mandar un besito me pintaba los labios. Yo no acostumbraba a pintármelos, pero para poderle marcar el besito en la carta, me pintaba los labios y se lo mandaba.
My dad did not receive the intended message.
Pero cuando recibí una carta de vuelta, me estaba reclamando que por qué andaban los labios pintados. Me sentía que no hallaba cómo explicarle, pues. Ajá, algo tan sencillo.
Why are you wearing lipstick if I'm not around? He asked. Of course, why would a woman put on lipstick if her husband isn't around? I guess love and machismo know no borders. My mom wanted the family to be reunited, but the poverty that they were living through wasn't the only problem. More than anything, she wanted to leave El Salvador because the country was becoming more and more dangerous by the day.
La situación en el país se había vuelto más insegura, porque constantemente habían muertos por todos lados. Ya no eran una vez por semana o una vez al mes, ya los muertos matados, así asesinados, ya eran más frecuentes.
What had been an occasional problem had become an everyday occurrence. The disappeared were showing up dead on the side of the road every day. It's the kind of thing that sounds so unbelievable to me. The idea that you could just be walking around, going about your business, and run across a pile of dead bodies. At the time, my mom understood very little of what was going on. Even with the death of my tia Maria, she still couldn't fathom why so many people were being killed. The greater politics at play, all of it went over her head.
¿Y qué sabía de la política y de
Realmente yo no sabía nada de la política, no sabía qué era lo que estaba pasando. No comprendía por qué. ¿Por qué eran los sindicatos? ¿Por qué la gente de las fábricas protestaban? ¿Por qué los sindicatos protestaban? Yo no entendía nada de eso. No sabía. ¿Por qué estaban matando a los maestros? ¿Por qué decía yo, qué pudo haber hecho malo un maestro para que lo maten? No entendía.
Every day, more teachers and students and just regular people she knew were being taken, deemed to be subversives in the eyes of the government. It felt like a ticking time bomb. My mom was more determined than ever to get her daughters out of that terrible situation. In his letters, my dad kept saying that he was sending all he could, but it wasn't enough. My mom was not going to sit around and wait for him to save her. With the money she made at the flower shop, she started buying materials to make paper flowers of her own. For 3 months straight, she worked day and night. After the girls were put to bed, she would stay up, folding and twisting the paper into roses, coral beans, and red-button gingers. She made flowers that no one had ever seen before.
Yo quería darle vida, y le di vida. Les puse colores rojos intensos a la tinta que le daba a los colores del papel. Le ponía más para que se pusieran más intensos los colores.
When El Día de Finados came, with calluses built on her blisters, she went down to El Mercado with baskets full of her colorful bouquets and sold them by the dozen. By the end of the day, she had sold every single flower that she had made. She had saved enough money to pay for her passage north, all on her own.
Que hice lo suficiente como para comprar el vuelo para mí y para mis hijas, para comprar pasaportes, para comprar las visas y para poder viajar con dinero en avión hasta México.
She started making arrangements to make the journey north. She bought visas to get into Mexico, ordered Salvadoran passports for the girls, and bought plane tickets for everyone. She had never even left her hometown before.
No sabía ni cómo llegar a la capital de aquí de mi propio país, pero la adrenalina o el deseo de querer salir, quizás eso me ayudó mucho a tener el valor de hacerlo.
She didn't know if it was just adrenaline, but she somehow built up the courage to make the journey, just her and her girls. Every time she got scared, she remembered that this wasn't just for her. It was for the girls, so they'd have a chance to have a better life than she did. The first step of her journey was to get to the airport in the capital, but she didn't know how to get there. So she asked her sister, Margarita, to take her. To be clear, I have 2 Margaritas in my family. My dad's cousin, Margarita Saravia, who you heard from earlier in the episode, and my mom's younger sister, Margarita Lizama, my tía Margarita.
A ella le dije yo, anda, déjame a San Salvador, le dije, porque yo no conozco. Y mi hermana pues había sido más aventurera.
My tía Margarita was my mom's younger sister. She was bolder, more adventurous. When they got to the airport, my tía left my mom with a parting wish.
Ella, cuando se despidió de mí, recuerdo que ella me pidió que la llevara. Que cuando ya estuviera establecida yo allá, que la ayudara a irse. Quería salir también de esta vida de aquí, llena de maltratos por los hombres.
Send for me, she said. When you get settled in the north, send for me. My tía Margarita had 3 kids too, and she was in an abusive relationship.
Fue la última vez que la vi porque ella también, cuando yo iba en el camino, ya en México, en camino de Guadalajara para Tijuana.
While my mom was in Mexico, en route to the border, men in masks broke into where my tía Margarita was sleeping and took her away. That day at the airport was the last time my mom ever saw her sister.
Fue un sábado, cuando se supone que mataron a mi hermana, porque yo todavía iba en camino y no sabía, había manera de que yo supiera que ella había fallecido, que a ella la habían matado. Yo ya no la volví a ver jamás.
Three days later, just as my mom was arriving to the U.S., my tia's body was found on the side of a country road. This is a story that I knew, or at least that I thought that I knew. That my tia was taken away by a death squad. But it wasn't until this trip that I got the full story. One that went beyond the brutalities of war. That's next time on Nation of Saints. Sacred Scandal, Nation of Saints is a production of AHA Podcasts in partnership with iHeart's My Cultura podcast network and is hosted and written by me, Jasmine Romero. Produced by Jasmine Romero with help from Álvaro Céspedes. Research and reporting by Jasmine Romero. Edited by Zaire Quevedo. Nation of Saints was recorded in New York City at the Relic Room with engineering by Sam Baer. Mixing and sound design by Pachi Quiñones. Original music by Golden Minds, Darko and Aime, based on Patrick Hart's original composition. Fact-checking by Erendira Aquino Ayala. Executive producers are Carmen Graterol, Isaac Lee, Rose Reed, and Nando Villa. Our executive producers at iHeart are Giselle Bances and Arlene Santana. Sacred Scandal was created by Melanie Bartley and Paula Barros. For more podcasts, go to the iHeartRadio app or anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts.